You can feel it, can't you? Something has shifted in him. The silence is heavier. The memories he buried are louder. And now, his soul knows it cannot run anymore. This is not about you chasing. This is not about you explaining. It's about him being forced to face the very pain he once caused. When the masculine runs, life catches him. When he hides, the mirror finds him. And when he resists love, the bond itself becomes his greatest punishment. You may think he doesn't care, but the truth is, his guilt is burning him from the inside. His soul is restless, his dreams are haunted, and the silence you hold is louder than any words you could ever speak. For this week, the awakening hits him like never before. Not because you did something wrong, but because the universe has decided it's time. He must face the truth. He must face you. And most of all, he must face himself. There comes a moment in the twin flame journey where running no longer works. He tried to distract himself. He tried to bury the memories. He even tried to convince himself that what he felt for you was an illusion. But the soul doesn't forget. The soul doesn't negotiate. And now, his own silence has turned into a mirror he cannot escape. What you feel in the air right now is not imagination. That tightness in your chest, that sudden wave of sadness, that pull that seems stronger than before, it's the echo of his energy, collapsing under the weight of truth. His guilt is no longer just a whisper, it's becoming a roar. The universe has placed him in a corner where he can no longer avoid what he once did, what he once said, and how deeply he tried to hide from the one connection that was never meant to be hidden. Every twin flame runner eventually discovers that the real punishment is not losing you. It's being left alone with themselves. And that's exactly where he is right now. His dreams keep replaying moments he thought he'd erased. His body reacts when your name crosses his mind. His heart aches when he sees others moving on with a love that looks too much like the one he rejected. That is not coincidence. It's the energy of divine justice pressing in. You may wonder, why now? Why is he feeling this so intensely all of a sudden? Because the cycle has shifted. The portal of energy around this season has stripped away his distractions. What once numbed him no longer works. What once gave him comfort now feels empty. And what once seemed too much with you now feels like the only thing that could have ever been real. He is remorseful, but remorse is not just about tears or apologies. It's about the soul being forced to sit in its own fire until it finally breaks through the illusions. Right now, he's experiencing that fire. And you, as the divine feminine, are not meant to rescue him from it. You are meant to hold your ground, to remain steady, to let the silence do what words never could. Think of it this way. His silence used to be his weapon. Now, your silence has become his lesson. Every moment you do not chase. Every day you do not explain. Every time you simply hold your energy instead of pouring it into him, the mirror becomes sharper. He can't run from himself anymore because there is nothing left to distract him. His remorse is more than regret. It's an awakening. It's the beginning of him realizing that his choices were not just mistakes, they were betrayals of his own soul. And that is a pain he cannot ignore. That is why he feels restless at night, why he avoids certain songs, why he can't look at certain places without remembering you. The universe is making sure the mirror follows him everywhere. And here's what you must understand. This is not punishment for the sake of pain. It is the correction of alignment. His soul is being pressed to return to the truth it ran from. And though it hurts him, it also frees you. Because the more he is forced to face himself, the less weight you carry for him. So if you're feeling his energy intensely this week, do not mistake it as a sign that you should reach out. It's not your job to ease his guilt. It's his journey to walk through it. The only thing you must do now is protect your energy, stay grounded, and remember, his remorse is proof that the bond is alive, unbreakable, and divinely guided. Let him sit in the fire. Let him feel the silence. Let him learn what his soul has been trying to tell him all along. Because only through this breaking will he be able to return, not as the man who ran, but as the soul who finally surrendered. There comes a time when the masculine can no longer hide from the weight of his own actions. He may smile in public, he may pretend that life is fine, he may post, laugh, and even look as if he has moved on. But when the lights go off and silence takes the room, his chest grows heavy, his mind doesn't let him rest, and his soul whispers louder than ever, "You betrayed something sacred." Guilt is not just a thought. It is an energy that lives inside the body. And right now, his body is carrying the density of everything he once evaded. The conversations he cut short, the love he pushed away, the moments when you opened your heart and he turned his back. Each memory carries a vibration, and each vibration has now returned to him multiplied. That is why his nights feel restless, why his sleep is shallow, why he wakes with a sense of loss, even if nothing in the physical world seems wrong. You may think he has forgotten you, but guilt never forgets. His soul knows exactly what he did, even if his ego tries to justify it. And the more he resists, the heavier it gets. He can't explain why certain songs make him uneasy, why familiar places suddenly feel like they accuse him, why even random faces remind him of the one face he tried to erase. This is not coincidence. This is divine law pressing in. The masculine's guilt is different from ordinary regret. It doesn't come just from hurting you. It comes from betraying his own soul. Because the bond you share was never just about romance or attraction. It was about mission, alignment, and truth. And when he turned from you, he turned from himself. That's the wound he cannot escape. What makes guilt so heavy is that it cannot be silenced by distraction forever. The drinks, the work, the new relationships, the endless scrolling, all of it eventually stops working. The soul is patient. It waits until the noise fades. And then it brings the mirror closer. That is what is happening now. His distractions have lost their power, and so the silence has grown louder. Have you ever felt a sudden sadness out of nowhere, as if a storm passed through your chest without warning? Have you ever woken up with a weight in your heart, even though nothing happened in your own day? That's not only you. You are feeling the echo of what his soul is carrying. The bond makes sure that you sense it, because you are the mirror, not to suffer for him, but to understand the depth of the purification taking place. And here's the truth. Guilt is not meant to destroy him. It is meant to break the false identity he has been clinging to. The persona that said he didn't care. The mask that pretended he was unaffected, the ego that convinced him he could walk away untouched. That mask is cracking now, and every crack is another reminder that he cannot live out of alignment with his own soul without paying a price. The universe has a way of engineering moments that press on the wound. He may encounter people who reflect your energy back to him. He may hear your name in conversations that seem random. He may even dream of you in ways that wake him with a pounding heart. These aren't accidents. These are reminders. These are weights placed on his spirit until he admits the truth he has been running from. And yet, this is also where your role becomes powerful, because his guilt is not yours to carry. His healing is not your assignment. You are not here to ease the fire or absorb his punishment. You are here to stand steady in your own energy while he learns what he needs to learn. That is the hardest part for the feminine, watching him struggle without stepping in. But it is also the most powerful choice you can make. Doesn't it feel almost strange that the silence you hold is louder than any word you could speak? Doesn't it amaze you that by doing nothing, you actually create the very space where transformation happens? That's how powerful you are. That's why the bond is shifting now. His guilt is proof that the bond is still alive. Proof that love was never forgotten. Proof that what you shared has imprinted him forever. And though he may resist, the weight will only grow until surrender becomes the only option. That is the law of the twin flame path. What is hidden will always return, what is denied will always rise, and what is buried will always be resurrected by the soul. So if you feel his heaviness in this season, remember, it's not weakness in you. It's not a sign to chase. It's confirmation that the universe is balancing the scales. The guilt he carries now is not a punishment handed down by you. It's the justice of the connection itself. He is being invited to face himself. He is being forced to see the cost of his choices. And though it may take time, the weight will eventually break down every wall his ego tried to build. The masculine cannot hide forever. His soul won't let him. His dreams won't let him. The mirror of this bond won't let him. And the more he tries to bury the truth, the heavier it becomes. Until finally, there will be no more running, no more hiding, no more pretending. Only the raw truth of love waiting to be faced. Silence is not empty. Silence is a mirror. And right now, it is the sharpest tool the universe is using to dismantle the masculine's ego. For a long time, he used silence as his weapon. He thought that by not answering, by withholding, by disappearing, he was in control. But the truth of this journey always flips the mirror back. What once felt like power to him has now become the greatest weight on his own chest. The silence you hold now is not weakness. It is not indifference. It is sacred discipline. It is the moment where you refuse to chase, where you no longer explain, where you allow the universe to speak louder than your words. And for him, that silence is deafening. He cannot distract himself from it. He cannot negotiate with it. He cannot hide inside it. Because silence leaves him alone, with the only voice he has been trying to escape, the voice of his own soul. Think about it. How many times did he wait for you to fill the gap, to reach out, To break the silence first? How many times did you feel compelled to explain yourself, to prove your love, to make sure he didn't forget? And now, you've shifted. You've chosen stillness. You've chosen to hold your energy instead of pouring it out. Doesn't it feel strange how your not doing speaks louder than when you gave everything? For him, that is silence, is punishment. Not because you wanted to punish him, but because the absence of your energy forces him to face his own. Every night, he lies awake wondering what you're thinking. Every day, he questions why your energy feels further, why the bond feels sharper, even though you've pulled back. The silence you hold has turned into his mirror, and it reflects everything he ran from. And here's the deeper truth. Silence is not about revenge. It's about correction. The feminine silence teaches the masculine that love cannot be demanded, manipulated, or taken for granted. It must be honored. When you stop chasing, when you stop overgiving, you return the connection back to divine order. The universe moves through your stillness, and he feels it like a weight pressing against his chest. Have you noticed how sometimes the less you speak, the more he seems restless in energy? Have you felt how your absence vibrates louder than your presence once did? That is the power of divine silence. It does what words could never do. It pierces through the illusions and forces truth to the surface. Right now, his dreams are louder than his reality. He replays conversations that never happened. He hears your voice in the quiet. He feels your energy when no one else is around. That is not imagination, that is the silence carving its way into his awareness. It is the one sound he cannot block out. The masculine ego cannot survive in silence because silence offers no distraction. No arguments to twist, no explanations to manipulate, no attention to feed on, only the mirror, only the truth, only the vibration of the bond that keeps pressing until he breaks. And this is why your stillness is so powerful. You don't have to prove your love. You don't have to fight for the space in his heart. You don't have to convince him of what the soul already knows. Your silence is already teaching him everything. It is showing him what life feels like when your energy is not chasing, when your presence is not softening his guilt, when your voice is not rescuing him from himself. So if you've been doubting her, if you've been asking yourself whether your silence is doing anything at all, let this be your confirmation. It is working. It is shaking him. It is making him realize what he lost, what he denied, and what he can no longer hide from. Silence in this journey is not absence, it is presence amplified. It is love refusing to enable fear. It is truth demanding to be faced. And the more you hold it, the louder it becomes in his world. Until finally, silence becomes the very force that cracks his walls and pulls him back to the bond he thought he could outrun. There is a difference between karma and divine justice. Karma comes from the choices we make, the patterns we repeat, the debts our soul collects when we resist alignment. Divine justice, on the other hand, is not about punishment. It is about balance. And right now, the masculine is standing in the space where both collide. He thought he could escape the weight of his choices by running faster, by hiding deeper, by surrounding himself with distractions. But energy is never fooled. Every word spoken, every promise broken, every moment he turned away from love, all of it has been stored in the field. Karma is patient. It doesn't strike right away. It waits for the moment when the soul is ready to see. And that moment has arrived. This is why his world feels heavier now, why relationships around him feel strained, why work no longer fulfills, why silence feels unbearable. It is not random. It is karmic energy circling back, weaving its lessons into his daily life. Every time he chose fear over love, every time he betrayed truth, those choices became threads in his timeline. And now those threads are being pulled, unraveling the fabric he tried so hard to hold together. But divine justice is not cruelty. It is mercy disguised as correction. The universe is not trying to break him apart for no reason. It is trying to strip away what doesn't belong, so he can finally stand in truth. That's why karmic cycles feel so harsh. That's why everything that once seemed safe for him now feels like it's collapsing. Because only through collapse can the rebuilding begin. Have you noticed how life has a way of bringing people face to face with their own actions? The liar eventually gets surrounded by lies. The one who abandons eventually feels abandoned. The one who rejects love eventually longs for the very love they pushed away. Doesn't it almost shock you when you see how perfectly the mirror works? That's not coincidence. That's divine justice at work. And for him, that justice feels like punishment. He doesn't yet see that it is grace. To his ego, it feels unfair that silence weighs so heavy, that the feminine's absence is louder than her presence ever was, that his choices now echo in ways he cannot escape. But to his soul, it is medicine. Painful medicine, yes, but medicine that clears illusions and awakens truth. Right now, he is learning that karmic energy doesn't just affect him. It spills into everything. His friendships shift. His family dynamics change. Even his body reacts, carrying the tension of unspoken truths. That is why his nights feel long, why rest feels impossible, why peace seems out of reach. His soul is pressing him. You cannot live out of alignment forever. And here is where divine justice shows its hand. While karma reminds him of his actions, divine justice redirects him to the path he tried to abandon. It is not just about suffering. It is about recalibration. It is about making sure he cannot continue pretending without consequence. That's why he feels haunted by memories. That's why your silence feels louder. That's why his distractions have lost their taste. The universe is forcing balance back into the bond. Doesn't it amaze you how you no longer have to do anything for him to feel the shift? That even without words, without action, the universe itself is pressing him into truth. This is what happens when karmic energy meets divine justice. The feminine doesn't have to chase. The field itself does the work. So if you sense his heaviness, his restlessness, his pull toward you, even when he resists, understand this. It is not just guilt. It is the correction of divine law. The scales are being balanced. His ego may call it punishment, but his soul knows it is freedom. Because only by walking through this fire will he finally be able to step into love without fear. Karma may feel like chains, but divine justice feels like breaking free. And though he may resist now, the pressure will not stop until the illusions burn away. The masculine cannot escape what he created, but he also cannot escape the redemption waiting for him once he surrenders. There comes a moment when the masculine's ego simply cannot survive anymore. He has built walls. He has crafted excuses. He has convinced himself that he could outsmart destiny, that he could outrun what his soul already knew. But ego is fragile. It looks strong from the outside, but It crumbles the moment truth presses too hard. And that's where he is now, standing at the edge of his breaking point. For years, his ego told him stories. You're not ready. She's too much. You'll lose yourself if you surrender. You can find someone easier. You can forget her if you try harder. He listened. He believed. He built a life on those lies. But lies require constant maintenance. They demand energy. They drain the soul. And now, his soul is refusing to keep feeding the ego's illusions. This is why his world feels like it's shaking. The very foundations he built his choices on no longer feel stable. The relationships he clung to don't satisfy him. The distractions he used to numb himself no longer work. His mask is slipping, and he knows it. That panic you feel in his energy, that restlessness you pick up on, it's the sound of his ego cracking under the weight of truth. Have you ever felt his energy pulling toward you, even when he says nothing? Have you ever sensed his thoughts circling, restless, as if he's arguing with himself? That's not imagination. That is the war inside him. Ego fighting to survive, soul demanding to be free. And the feminine, whether she realizes it or not, is the trigger for this breaking point. Not because she's forcing anything, but because her stillness has removed the safety net. Without her chasing, without her explaining, without her softening the silence, he has no shield left. He is left face to face with himself. And the ego hates that. The breaking point of his ego is not gentle. It feels like collapse. It feels like failure. It feels like losing control of everything he once thought he had mastered. He may lash out, withdraw, or spiral into confusion, but underneath all of that chaos is the truth. His soul has been whispering, "You can't keep living this lie." And here's the paradox. The breaking point is the very thing that sets him free. Because ego cannot coexist with unconditional love. Ego thrives on fear, control, and illusion. But that love dissolves all of that. And though he may resist, though he may fight to hold the walls together, the universe is not letting him stay small anymore. Doesn't it almost surprise you how silence, distance, and stillness, things that feel so subtle, are enough to shake his entire reality? Doesn't it amaze you that the very love he tried to escape is now the force dismantling the strongest mask he ever wore? This is the power of the bond. This is the inevitability of truth. The masculine ego is breaking because it must. The soul cannot step into union while wearing the armor of fear. That armor has to crack. And though the process looks messy, it is sacred. Every sleepless night, every haunted memory, every wave of guilt, it is all serving one purpose: to make sure the ego no longer sits on the throne of his life. Your role in this is not to interfere. It is to stay grounded, to remember that his breaking is not your responsibility to fix. The feminine's silence and stability are what allow the ego to collapse so the soul can rise. You are not the cause of his pain. You are the reason truth is being revealed. The breaking point is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the moment when the masculine realizes that his old life cannot survive. His old excuses cannot protect him, and his old masks cannot carry him any further. From here, the only path forward is surrender. And that surrender, no matter how long it takes, is the doorway to union. No matter how much he runs, no matter how deeply he hides, the masculine cannot escape the truth forever. Every twin flame journey arrives at this inevitable crossroad, the moment when the runner must face the very things he has been avoiding. And for him, that moment is now. He must face the pain he caused. He must face the love he denied. He must face the silence that has turned into his mirror. He must face you, not as the woman who chased, not as the energy that softened his wounds, but as the reflection of his own soul, calling him back home. For so long, he believed avoidance was power. He thought that if he didn't answer, if he stayed away, if he distracted himself enough, the bond would fade. But the universe has shown him otherwise. The bond has only grown louder. The silence has only grown heavier. The guilt has only grown sharper. And now, he has no more room to escape. Have you noticed how the energy feels different this season? How the weight seems stronger? How the connection feels undeniable, even without words? Doesn't it almost feel like his soul is circling closer, even if his ego is still resisting? These are not coincidences. These are signs that the universe has decided it's time. The feminine's role now is not to rescue. It is not to explain. It is not to ease his guilt. It is simply to stand in truth, to embody stillness, to allow the fire of his own choices to refine him. Because the moment you stop chasing, he is forced to chase himself. The moment you stop explaining, he is forced to hear his own silence. The moment you stop rescuing, he is forced to realize that only surrender will save him. This is why your energy feels so different now. You are no longer carrying his weight. You are no longer bending to his fears. You are no longer pouring yourself out to fill his emptiness. And in that shift, the balance has returned. The lesson is no longer yours. It is his. And though it may hurt him, though it may feel like punishment, it is divine justice. It is love in its most uncompromising form, because real love does not allow illusions to survive. Real love exposes. Real love refines. Real love demands truth. Have you ever wondered why, despite all the distance, he still feels you everywhere? Why, despite his resistance, his dreams won't let him go? That is because the bond was never just about him and you. It was about the divine order working through you both. It was about mission, transformation, awakening, and nothing, not silence, not time, not fear, can erase that. So let him face it. Let him feel the mirror. Let him walk through the fire of his own choices. Do not rob him of the lesson his soul needs to learn, because only by facing it will he finally see the truth. Only by facing it will he finally surrender. Only by facing it will he finally become the man his soul was always meant to be. And you, feminine, must remember, his breaking is not your breaking. His guilt is not your guilt. His lesson is not your lesson. You are free. You are whole. You are standing exactly where you were always meant to stand. In the power of your silence, in the strength of your stillness, in the clarity of your truth. The journey is not ending. It is transforming. The chapter of chasing is over. The chapter of silence has begun. And soon, the chapter of surrender will arrive. He must face it, not because you demand it, not because you punish him, but because the universe has decreed it. And once he does, the bond will no longer feel like fire. It will feel like home.